Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to talk about how much it actually costs to build a micro or mini crawler. You know, a lot of times we go over all the things we add to the vehicles, the capabilities they have, everything that they can do after you put all the mods in there. We never go over how much these things actually cost. And in this video, I'll walk you step by step on, some of the mods that I put in some of my vehicles and how much each of these vehicles cost once I finish them. So that's something to definitely think about before you start a build. How far are you trying to go and how capable are you trying to make this video? What's your budget? You need a budget, and you need to think about what's more important when you're putting parts on this vehicle. You might not need a brushless motor that's going to also require you to get a brushless ESC that's going to total about $130, $140, which is the price of a whole nother mini crawler stock. So you definitely got to think about these things and think about what you want to do with this build. And I'll go over this here in this video. Stay tuned. Okay, let's go over the Axial SCX24 Bronco first. First off, the price of the SCX24 Bronco is $160 starting off. So next we have the Injora carbon chassis, which was $18.50. Then we have the Injora metal bumper, which was $19. The Injora rock sliders here were also, they were actually $15. And then we have the whole brass set for the diff covers, the steering knuckles, all the black Injora parts that are brass to put more weight at the bottom of the chassis. That kit total was $31. The Crawler Master Injora tires were $13. The Mofo RC UPW wheels with the brass inner rings on the inside and the brass 3mm spacers, that all together was $69. Then I did the Mofo RC ROP brushless pancake motor, which was $56. The Furitek Lizard ESC was $76. The RC Lions 43mm suspension was $19. Emaxx Servo here with the Injora metal plate was $23. The Injora high clearance links were $18. And the steering rod here was $10. Then we have the Fly Sky remote. The FSGT3B was actually $40, and that came with the receiver. So as you can see, things start adding up really quickly when you're doing a full build. Now these things are extremely capable and very well worth the money compared to a stock SCX24, which would completely not be able to do even a third of what some of these aftermarket parts make these vehicles do. But you just have to keep these things in mind when you're building these crawlers. Are you willing to spend a total of, as this Bronco costed, $567 for a mini crawler, which if you're really into the hobby is very worth it. But if you're trying to do a cheaper build, then it's not worth spending that money. One of the most expensive things in this vehicle is the Mofo RC, the ESC Lizard Pro. That's gonna run you about $130 total, and that's a very expensive mod. But if you're looking for extreme motor performance and slow crawl, then you're gonna have to drop that money. Next, I'm going over the Injora rock buggy. And if you actually want to save a little bit of money, when you're building a crawler from scratch like this, you don't have to buy the actual, crawler like previously the Bronco. I bought the stock Bronco from Axial, but this was a complete scratch build. I'm just building all the parts, and I already have my radio, the Fly Sky radio, which has a total of about 10 cars that you can program to each vehicle. So here I saved at least $160 from the jump by not purchasing an already made vehicle that you're gonna tear most of the parts out of anyways. So in this rock buggy build, the rock buggy kit from Injora by itself was $27. The mud tires from Injora were $12. Injora shocks, $22. The Injora high clearance links were $20, with the skid plate $14. Again, the Mofo RC UPW Wheels with the brass inner rings and the spacers, $69 total. Then Injora digital servo here, which I actually really like, was $23 with the plate. And the Fly Sky GT3B remote I already had from my Bronco builder, but if you don't have that remote already and you're building from scratch, that's $40. I used the Injora Pro 52 brushed motor in this vehicle, which was only $16. And again, I used the Furitek Lizard Pro ESC, $76, set up to the brushed format. And the Injora steering rod, again, $10. Injora metal drive shafts, those were $18. And I actually, because I was building this from scratch, had to buy some stock axles, front and rear. Those costed a total of $50. And I also needed a 2S battery, which was about $23. So total for this vehicle build was $420, because I didn't have to actually buy an already made vehicle. So there I saved at least about $130. Going next into the Hobby Plus CR18P Trail Hunter build. This thing is mostly stock besides the Metal Gear transmission, the Mofo RC UPW wheels with the brass inner rings and the spacers, $69. The Metal Gear transmission was $13. The Injora all-terrain S5 tires were $16. And I bought the custom Hobby Plus oil field shocks, and those were $29.50. And the vehicle itself was $120, bringing the total of this to about $261.50, which this was a very, I really like the stock motor, brush motor on this vehicle. It crawls very slow, has a lot of slow crawl capability. Stock, these things are very well made, and they actually, the only big thing when you purchase this original Trail Hunter was the plastic gears that would strip out of the transmission. I think on the new Evo version they upgraded that gear stock, so you're getting the metal gears, so you avoid that issue. But look how amazing this vehicle looks for a mostly stock vehicle. The only thing I did was paint a few extra things, which I'd say for paint and various little accessories that I added on, maybe $15. Next, I'll go over my son's SCX24 deadbolt, which this thing is very capable, but I was trying to keep the budget very low on this vehicle because it's my 6-year-old son's vehicle. So the deadbolt itself was $125. Then Hora beadlock wheels and tires came together on this for $31. Then Hora high clearance links were $20. The steering wad here was $10. RC Lions 43mm shocks were $20. Then Hora brass wheel weights, as you can see here, were $12. And the steering knuckles, the Hora brass steering knuckles, were about $16, bringing this vehicle to a total of $234, which, you know, is not expensive as some of my other builds, but still kind of expensive for a 6-year-old kid. But when your kid sees you in this hobby, they see that your vehicles are very capable. And actually, my son takes a lot of care of his vehicles and respects it. And he, you know, this thing's been running strong. He's never broken it, and takes good care of his vehicle. So he is very capable at crawling even at 6 years old. So definitely, you know, if your son is into the hobby, or your son or daughter, you know, definitely spend the money and get them into this, so that can be a lifelong hobby of theirs too. So as you can see, this hobby gets very expensive if you allow it to, and it gets very addictive. So you really don't care when you're spending the money on these things, and it gets pretty bad. So, you know, and some of these things you can build out over time. You don't have to go out and throw $600 immediately into a vehicle once you purchase it. You know, you can build it out over a few months, a year, etc. And also, you know, this thing crawls very well, so you don't have to have the full brushless motor. If you get really into the hobby, definitely, you know, spend the extra money on something like that. But, you know, as you can see, some of these brushed vehicle motors are very good, and they can handle, you know, a lot of the obstacles even with the big dog brushless motors. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions about any of my builds, definitely hit me up in the comments. And like always, like and subscribe to the channel for future updates and videos. Thanks guys, see you next time.